Hi everyone and welcome to our latest weekly update video. This week I thought I'd give a bit more insight into how the product itself actually works. Nudgr is primarily focused on forms, so those pages where a user has to input personal information in order to progress to the next step, register or buy from you. Nudgr falls, roughly speaking, into sort of two phases, although they'll interlap and you'll see how that works in a minute. But the first step is the training step. So here we have a page with a form on. And once you add the Nudgr tracking code and also the conversion code to either the next step, basically the first page that a visitor is taken to once they successfully complete their details and click on submit or purchase or buy. Once you've got these two in place and a visitor or many visitors arrive at your form, the Nudgr tracking JavaScript basically boots up and starts to record all of these different events. So there could be clicks, key presses, focus in, focus out, and basically sends Nudgr all of these nuggets of information, these data points. We then do something very clever, which is turn all of these into a feature set. So a feature set is basically how the relationship between some of these data points might give rise to insight. So it might be the time between clicks, for example. It might be the order in which somebody focuses into fields. So do they skip ahead and come back? Do they have to go back and correct information and make changes to the data they've already entered? So we take all of these data events and turn them into features. Now, that, along with the fact that we also know whether or not these people complete or abandon the form, is all inputted into our predictive model. And basically, over time, when we collect a lot of this data, we then apply some very smart machine learning algorithms to this to basically be able to say, okay, can we tell the difference between somebody who's happily completing this form and somebody that's going to abandon? And this is usually present within the feature set. So all of these features might not be relevant for you because remember, for every single user of Nudgr, we train a separate predictive model for your particular form. We're not using a universal one, we're training one specific to how users interact and engage with the forms on your site. So what we do is we apply machine learning to this, and then basically once the model is ready, we say, great, it's time to start pushing out messages to people that we can reliably predict ahead of time are going to abandon. So this is where we get into the live stage. So for this particular form, what I've done is use not that well drawn example of, say, a modal box that has a discount code within it. So if you're an e-commerce site, you might say, okay, if people are going to abandon, then we may as well try and sweeten the deal with a discount code. So in this instance, somebody is completing this form and Nudgr predicts that they're going to abandon, so we darken the screen and display a modal box which has a 10% discount that a user can claim, hopefully then winning them over and turning that potential abandoner into a completion. Now, what's interesting as well is that the training actually never stops. So whilst we're doing this and we're pushing out messages and then providing reporting on how effective those messages are, we're still sending data into our predictive model. So it continues training even after you start sending out messages. So that's really interesting because it means that the model gets more accurate and more reliable over time. What we've also built into Nudgr is a control group. So this is a proportion of people and it's customizable. Let's say, for example, it's 10% of people that we actually never do anything for. We never make predictions for them. So A, that allows you to see the comparative uplift of pushing out messages for that pool of people compared with a control group. And it also gives us unpolluted data to add back into the predictive model and get stronger over time. So the first important step is training, so getting tracking and conversion in place to start sending us these data points that we turn into features for the initial training of the model. When that's ready, you can then push out messages to people, and this again gets fed into the predictive model, which gets stronger over time. So there's some pretty cool stuff, and this is quite a simplification of what's going on, but hopefully it gives you an insight into here's your form page, here's the data, here's the predictive model, here are the messages that are pushed out, and that also feeds back into the predictive model. So if you've got any questions about this, please do ask away. You can email me at tom@nudgr.io, get involved in our Slack group, and we'll keep these weekly updates coming. And in the future, we're hoping to let you into some more aspects of the product and really give you some insight into what we're building and how we're doing it. Thanks.